Hey, what's up? It's me, Sports Wikipedia. I'm gonna react to this video, the biggest fraud in NBA history.
Y'all seen the title of the video. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar might be one of the biggest frauds in NBA history. And the reason I say this is for one reason alone. There's no case that you can make for this man to be the greatest of all time.
I agree. I think that Kareem really shouldn't have a GOAT case. He has no case of really being above Michael Jordan or LeBron James.
Absolutely none.
You hear that, Ron and
And
Bobby? No case.
here's why. And here's why. Let's talk about the accolades. And this goes to Mars's point. Accolades don't.
Okay, I've mentioned this before in the past multiple times, and I'll say it again. Some of Kareem's accolades are not as impressive as like Kobe's or even Tim Duncan's or Michael Jordan's accolades. 4 or 5 of Kareem's MVPs were in the early and mid 70s, when there was less MVP competition. Put Hakeem Olajuwon or Shaquille O'Neal in the 70s, and I bet they win just as many MVPs as Kareem did. Players like Dr. J, George Gervin, and Moses Malone were not in the NBA in the early and mid 70s because they were in the ABA. Out of all the eras or time frames, the early and mid 70s is the weakest part of NBA history since the 1960s. And also, Kareem, he was the best player 2, maybe 3 out of his 6 championships. In his last 2 championships, he was barely an all-star caliber player and arguably not even the second best player on his team. He was part of a stacked Lakers team.
Make you a better person. And the only reason why people think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the GOAT is because of all these chips and all these MVPs and the fact that he's the leading scorer in NBA history. But when we dial in and look at in the way in which he won those MVPs, you're not really gonna be impressed. He won most of his MVPs in the 1980s, bro.
70s.
And understand this: the players were the ones voting for the MVPs from 1980 and before. He got 6 MVPs due to player voting. He never won an MVP ever since that. Imagine LeBron. Imagine LeBron. No. Understand that. Now let's say if a LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, they all had the benefit of having the players vote for them as an MVP voting. Can you imagine how many more MVPs these guys would have if the players were able to vote? On top of that, this guy was winning a lot of his MVPs in a time where Dr. J, Moses Malone, George Gervin was all playing in the ABA. Think about that. Think about LeBron James in the 2010s, KD, Stephen Curry, and James Harden is not playing in the same league as him. How much that would be able to catapult him to win more MVPs. Understand that. Yeah, now we want to talk about the rings.
Even half,
come on, son. He
won
with Magic Johnson in the bomb squad in the Showtime Lakers. Like, let's put that into context.
When has LeBron ever not won a ring without help?
It's not.
Okay, every player needs help, you know? LeBron needed Wade and Bosh, they needed Kyrie, and they need Davis, okay? But at least LeBron was the best player on all 4 championships, and every year he's been to the finals. Yes, Michael Jordan needed Scottie Pippen, but at least Michael Jordan was the best player all 6 of his championships. Yes, Kobe needed Shaq, and then he needed Gasol, but Kobe was the best player for 2 of his championships, and 2001-2002 championship with Shaq. Kobe was at least an MVP caliber player. Kareem was an MVP caliber player for 2 of his championships, and like I said, his last 2 championships in 1987 and 1988, he was barely an all-star caliber player and arguably not even the second best player on the team.
Kobe ever won a ring without help?
No, wait, Ron. Let me finish. It's not about help. Everybody needs help. But let's put this all in perspective.
Tim Duncan,
think of
Larry
LeBron
Bird.
James. Hold up. Think of LeBron James.
Bird was the best player all 3 of his championships.
LeBron James, at the age of 32, 33 years old, coming in and playing with the likes of a rookie Luka, coming in with playing with the likes of a DPOY player, a caliber player like a Marcus Smart, playing with a two-way threat in Jamal Wilkes like a Jimmy Butler, and I don't know, a borderline all-star, like a Norm Nixon and Fred Van Vliet, you gonna sit here and tell me that LeBron James ain't gonna be winning 6 to 7 rings easily with that cast for that extended period of time?
So
That's the caliber. That's the caliber of people. That's the caliber of people that he had on his team.
Because look, Kareem played with Magic for 10 years, right? So let me give you who Bron played with for 10 years. Can we do that?
You can do that.
If you're about to combine Dwayne Wade,
you
Adrian,
you have to
combine them into one.
Okay. He's probably gonna mention, how LeBron played with Wade, Kyrie, Bosh, and Davis, every year since like 2011, which is true. But he didn't play with them all at once together, okay? With the Miami Heat, he had Wade and Bosh, okay? And then he went back to Cavaliers. There was Kyrie, okay? No Wade or Bosh, okay? Or Davis. Just Kyrie. And then when he went to the Lakers, there was Davis. He didn't play with all of them together. From the mid to late 80s, like 1983 to 89, until Kareem retired, all at once, he had Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard, James Worthy, who was really good, Michael Cooper, who was one of the best defensive players in the 80s, and also Byron Scott. LeBron was never part of a team as stacked as the Showtime Lakers.
No, you have because he played with significant help for 10 straight years. And he still is.
He didn't play with all that. He didn't play with all of that help. He didn't play with all of that help is at the same time as the point, Ron. He played with Magic.
Super squad. They weren't a super.
They weren't a super squad, but the Showtime Lakers was a super duper squad. Probably the biggest super duper squad we've ever seen, son. Especially compared to the era.
Nobody picked the Heat to lose.
Nobody was picking the fucking Lakers to lose, bro.
People were picking the Lakers to lose against the Celtics.
And understand this.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee in the 80s, more people were choosing the Lakers to win the finals than the Celtics. And also, Celtics were a pretty stacked team as well, not stacked as the Lakers in the 80s. And, I think even in the 80s, the Celtics were more stacked than the Miami Heat were between 2011 to 2014.
Understand this. This is one more point that I also forgot. All these guys talk about impact on winning, right? Michael Jordan, LeBron James, I think every year that they've been in their prime, they've never missed the playoffs. Never. Not once. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, in his prime, 1976, he missed the playoffs, bro. Played 65 games on the Milwaukee Bucks and missed the playoffs. Then he goes to the Lakers the year after. He misses the fucking playoffs again. The Milwaukee Bucks from 76 and 77, their record did not change at all. They still won 38 games with and without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Can you imagine if LeBron James left the Cleveland Cavaliers and he didn't make the playoffs?
Can you imagine if?
Yeah, Michael Jordan, actually, before Pippen became an All-Star caliber player, from the late 80s till the early 90s, from 87 to 1990, Jordan was carrying the Bulls to the playoffs. For example, in 1988, Jordan had no All-Star caliber teammate and carried the Bulls to 50 wins into the playoffs. And in the year later, in 1989, Jordan carried the Bulls to nearly 50 wins into the conference finals. LeBron James, from 2005 to 2010, every year carried the Cleveland Cavaliers to the playoffs, 50 plus wins basically every season. Kareem, when he first started with the Bucks, he had Oscar Robertson, who was still pretty good, and also Bob Dandridge. After Oscar Robertson retired, Kareem missed the playoffs 2 or 3 seasons. He didn't start making to the playoffs often until Magic arrived in the 1979-80 season. Jordan and LeBron, without, all-star help, carried their team to more success than Kareem. I don't think any player has had more help, all-star help, than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Can you imagine if LeBron James didn't make the playoffs in back-to-back seasons, bro?
All right, real quick.
We would crucify this man.
All right,
crucify him.
Look, I didn't even. I don't talk about Kareem as the greatest because of his MVPs. I didn't even know he had 6 MVPs. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. That don't really matter to me. It's like, why is he not at least one? If he's not one, why isn't he 2? Tell me why he's not 1 or 2 because of his gameplay. Tell me about the way he got down. Tell me about the way he played basketball. What about his game is not GOAT worthy? Please tell me that. I don't want to hear about he did MVP. He played with this person, played with that person.
That's easy.
All greats played with somebody that's, if not a great, on everybody's list, is a great on most people's list. So please explain to me, as far as basketball wise, he's not the GOAT. Let's talk about some hoop shit, Doug. Let's talk about some hoop shit, Doug.
Accolades don't matter.
That's easy.
I'm not necessarily saying that accolades don't matter because they matter. They matter to a certain extent. They matter to a certain extent. And
if the word era comes out of your mouth in this argument too,
I don't even have to bring up.
If the word plumber comes out of your mouth,
I don't even have to. I'm not gonna mention. I'm not gonna mention the cokeheads that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was playing.
What about the cokeheads in the NBA today? You think these guys are doing coke?
They smoking weed. They ain't doing coke. Bro.
You think they're not doing coke?
We don't know.
Lamar Odom's question.
Y'all better cut it out. Cut it out.
But no, we could talk about their games easily, bro. Especially just Michael Jordan, LeBron James. That's easy to do. The two-way threat that those two poses, the impact on the game.
Talk about Kareem. What was his deficiency? Talk about how weak his game was, Dub. I need to hear this.
No.
Shit, Dub.
Kareem. No, listen. Kareem. I'm not gonna say Kareem was ass. That's actually
Kareem. Especially during his prime in the '70s, was a very dominant player. He was the best player in the 1970s. I can't deny that. He was a great scorer. He has the most unstoppable move, which would be a skyhook, and he was a great defensive player. There's no denying that.
The wrong thing to do. Kareem was actually very good. He was a good two-way threat. He could score the basketball. He had the unstoppable shot relative to his era, and he was a great defender. You can't take that away from him. The point in which I'm making is that there's no way that this guy could be counted in as the GOAT at all.
Why?
You got LeBron James and Michael Jordan right there. LeBron James and Michael Jordan right there. That's it. The impact that those guys had, the dominance that those guys had, the polarizing figure that those guys are. That's why Kareem Abdul-Jabbar shouldn't even be mentioned in the same breath as the GOAT conversation.
Yeah, because I think both Michael Jordan and LeBron at least are or have been just as great as what Kareem was. And, Michael Jordan, LeBron, best player, number one option, all their championships. Kareem, number one option, best player, 2 or 3 out of his 6 championships. Jordan and LeBron's accolades are more impressive. Tougher competition in their eras. And, I think they were more skilled. Jordan was a better scorer than Kareem. You can make a case that LeBron was a better scorer than Kareem. I think that, like I said, at least Jordan and LeBron were at least just as good players as Kareem. I would say they were actually better, in my personal opinion, and their accolades are more impressive. Like, Jordan won 5 MVPs, and LeBron has won 4 MVPs. Like, I feel like if Kareem played in any of the Jordan or LeBron's era, I would say he would win 2 or 3 MVPs. I don't think he would win 6. And also, like, imagine if Hakeem or Shaq played in Kareem's era, They would have 6 MVPs. They would have 6 championships. Maybe even more.
Due to those two and what they've done. Now, honestly, bro, if you want me to go far and kind of be nasty, bro,
please do.
I think Shaq and Hakeem might even be better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yes.
You get those guys, the
Yes.
supporting cast that Kareem.
No. Let's talk about what actually happened. Don't start going.
Let's do it.
Don't start doing that.
Bet. All right, bet. We could compare them easily. Shaquille O'Neal, most dominant player in NBA history, correct?
Yeah, I'll take Shaq from like 1998 to 2002 over any Kareem. I think I'll even take Hakeem Olajuwon 1993 to like 96 over any Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Hakeem Olajuwon is the most skilled big man. Greatest footwork out of any player in NBA history. Amazing post game. Best defensive player in the last 50 years. Shaq was so dominant during his peak. Nobody could stop him.
Yeah.
Most dominant player in NBA history is not even fucking close.
I had Shaq a lot higher on my list than other people would.
And let me tell you, if you could pull up a picture of these two right here, if you don't think that Shaq is going to dominate Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you got another thing
Stop using
bro.
That. Talk about what happened.
I'm talking about what happened. We're talking about them as players, right?
Everything that
Shaq gives them as players, right?
Kareem gives it back to him and more. And more. Believe me, and more.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. I think Shaq would kill Kareem. Kareem ain't strong enough. Kareem wasn't.
I think if both in their peaks, if Kareem and Shaq went 1-on-1, both would have a great game. It's like in the 95 finals. Yes, Hakeem did outplay Shaq. Hakeem was better, but Shaq was still dominant in those 1995 finals.
Strong enough. Kareem wasn't strong enough to be able to hold it against Shaq. Let's clarify that, number one. Now we're gonna talk Hakeem Olajuwon, bro. Hakeem Olajuwon is what? Probably the best defender in NBA history, right?
Not including Bill Russell, but yes, Karen.
Okay, not including Bill Russell, but yes, Hakeem Olajuwon, the best defender in NBA history. Isn't he a great scorer as well, especially relative to his position?
I'm not gonna say anything.
So you got
Hakeem Olajuwon.
You got Hakeem Olajuwon.
On Hakeem.
I'm just saying, you got Hakeem Olajuwon who could score. He could score just as good as Kareem. We're not gonna be real. The only reason he has 36,000 points per game because he plays so fucking long. But if we strip that away and just look at their games, Hakeem Olajuwon could score just as well as fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he's a better defender. How the fuck aren't you taking that guy?